What's good, YouTube? My name is Kosher Nostra, back at you guys with another sneaker review, unboxing, and of course that on feet, guys, with that sock combo to go. So guys, without further delay, let's touch on the colorway, the fit, some of the technology, and some of the inspirations behind this particular colorway of this particular shoe. Fam, let's jump right into it. Alright guys, a little bit late on this one just because of the whole quarantine shutdown, but I feel like as of this week, guys, I'm gonna start getting back into what I was doing. Some of these shops around here are finally opening up, thankfully. It's nice to have actual brick and mortar sneaker stores back as an option to shop, guys, even though some of the inventory isn't quite there yet. Going forward over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure a lot of these releases are actually going to be at some of these stores. Don't get me wrong, guys, I shop online, I love buying stuff online, always searching for deals and stuff like that, but there's just something to be said about going out and picking up a brand new fresh pair of sneakers on release day, opening that box and that fresh tissue paper or whatever. It's just always a special feeling, at least for me. So guys, we have done every one of these shoes so far for the channel. We've definitely seen a plethora of these boxes. The Nike Zoom Freak 1, the colorway on this bad boy is light cream / Pacific blue and fur. The size is a size 11, and these retailed in the US for $120. However, they've been sitting long enough at this point, I was actually able to go out and pick these things up on sale, which I would have copped regardless. This is one of my favorite colorways of the Zoom Freak 1s that has dropped so far. Guys, let's pull these out the box and check them out in hand. Bang, guys, there they are in hand, the Nike Zoom Freak 1 in the Cream City colorway. I've seen online a couple things refer to these as the light cream colorway. Nah, this is definitely the Cream City colorway, and I say that primarily because of the Bucks alternate Cream City jerseys. Those honestly might be my favorite Bucks jerseys that they're wearing right now. They actually dropped at my local Foot Locker and I planned on grabbing one of them, and they just sold out so quickly. Had I known that they were also going to drop this colorway of the shoe, I wouldn't have slept on that jersey at all. And honestly, guys, that might be a jersey that at some point I want to backtrack and hunt down. There's just such a fire and original color of a jersey, in my opinion. Just very unique, as is the colorway of this sneaker. Guys, first let's touch on the actual colorway of this Zoom Freak 1. So the colorway itself is called Cream City, which of course is a nod to not only the Cream City jerseys that Milwaukee wears, but the fact that Milwaukee has been dubbed Cream City since they really were building a lot of those buildings out of the cream colored bricks is what I read. So back in the 1800s when that city was really shooting up, they used an untraditional color of bricks. Everybody, whenever you think of bricks, you always think of those red bricks. Well, evidently they made use of a great deal of sort of a cream colored brick on a lot of the buildings, whether it was some of the breweries or anything that they had going on out there. And Milwaukee, as a consequence, was dubbed the Cream City. I remember when I first saw the jerseys, I really honestly didn't look at them that hard. I was just so focused on the color that I thought it said Dream City. It made a little bit more sense to me. When I hear Cream City, I just can't help but think of something sexual, right guys? So I believe honestly it was in my top Freak 1's countdown video that I did that somebody actually kind of steered me straight and gave a little bit of an explanation. It was actually somebody, I want to say, that lives in Milwaukee. So it makes a little bit more sense when you take all that into consideration. This, I want to say, is the first Freak 1 that has really dropped in a colorway that really complemented the jerseys that they wear on court. A lot of the other colorways, whether they've been toned down or really loud colorways, they really haven't had a lot to do with the Bucks team colors themselves. But this particular shoe really does body that. You've got that sort of light tan, kind of creamy colored upper all over the shoe. Whether it's the mesh portions of the upper, some of the underlying hits of material as well, the laces, the tongue, these sort of felt kind of bands that the bottom two laces are integrated into that again lie underneath the mesh material of the shoe, and sometimes they actually have colored those portions differently from the other portions surrounding it on the shoe just to add some pop and some vibrance to elements of the shoe itself. Honestly, when you look at the upper, whether it's the medial or the lateral side of the shoe is fairly plain. The first thing your eye is really drawn to is going to be on the lateral side, that reverse, really oversized swoosh that dominates the midsole back here. Aside from that aspect, the rest of the upper is very plain. So I do like how they kind of differentiated the toe box and some of the side paneling with the underlying kind of forest green color that you see, which is to me probably the first color that I really think of when I think Milwaukee Bucks. It's going to be that forest green. So the little hits on the toe box and on the side paneling, they add a little bit of pop, as we were kind of touching on before. It is kind of subtle because that forest green is such a dark color. Where the tan mesh sits over top of it, it does add sort of some differentiating elements, but it definitely does not pop nearly as much as, say, the sock liner or the back of the tongue or the actual GA Giannis Antetokounmpo logo that is featured prominently on the tongue, or the little Greek flag 34 that's featured right on the back heel portion. Those underlying portions are a lot more subtle than the overlying forest green that we see in a lot more places. Really, the only other two colors that you're going to see on the shoe at all is going to be sort of this stark white that you see that really dominates the midsole. The midsole actually features speckling on it everywhere except for where the outsole sort of encroaches on that lateral portion, right at the bottom of that swoosh that's right there. That's just going to be a clean white portion. So everywhere else you're going to see speckling on the midsole. And what's really dope, and something I really did not notice until I had these things in hand for quite a while, is that there's actually a bit of a gradient on the midsole itself. So it works from that sort of light tan cream color with the speckling on top. It works into a pure white with the speckling on top. A little bit harder to notice on the lateral side, much more prominent and easy to notice on the medial side of the shoe, where the swoosh does not break up the midsole at all. On the medial side, on the side paneling of the shoe, you again have that Pacific blue sort of normal size swoosh that's right there that kind of breaks up some of the monotony that is just basically an entirely mesh upper on the shoe. When I look close, the speckling is actually a forest green, even though it sort of appears to be black, and it really kind of dresses the oversized reverse Pacific blue swoosh on the lateral side. It really dresses that really well and kind of complements that well, in my opinion. They tone this swoosh down a little bit compared to some of these other colorways. You've just got an essentially all Pacific blue swoosh. There's no sort of speckling or holograms or kind of different materials or kind of sort of a graphite look. None of that with this swoosh. You've just got a really clean, simple Pacific blue reverse swoosh. And then as you turn to the outsole, you'll see once again the return of the white rose pods, and then you've got hits of the Pacific blue all around those white rose pods. Of course, there's the tiny little GA logo featured right in the middle of the sneaker itself. Pretty clean outsole. I definitely like that Pacific blue color. It pops. All in all, I think really all the colors of this sneaker really complement the rest of the sneaker very well. That's one reason, in my opinion, that I like this colorway so much. It's sort of a less than traditional colorway, something that probably will be kind of hard to pair if you're trying to wear these things casually or whatever, especially with that light cream upper, man. But if you find the right fit, I really feel like it's just gonna go super hard, especially right now, you know, sort of a summer kind of springtime look. The fit of the shoe, it's definitely sort of aligned to more of a Nike Kobe, as Giannis grew up playing with a lot of different shoes, but wore Kobe's a lot. So once it really became time to get his own signature shoe, as a lot of these players have done, he kind of opted to go in the direction of going for that sort of Kobe fit. So you've got a very narrow shoe overall, something that I would recommend probably sizing a half size up in. It's sort of a tricky thing to throw out there as just like a rule of thumb for everybody. Obviously with basketball sneakers, some people like their basketball sneakers a little bit more snug than other people. Some of the younger cats and their parents are probably going to want to buy a sneaker that they still have some opportunity to grow into. So it's a little bit difficult for me to just sit here and judge and say without any sort of background information as to the person wearing the shoe. But in general, guys, I've been sizing up a half size in these. I'm probably a true 10.5. I buy 11s in these all day and they feel pretty good to me on feet. So definitely take that into consideration. I will say that now that these stores are opening back up, guys, if you want a pair of Zoom Freaks, regardless of what color you want, just head out to your local Foot Locker, your local Champs, Foot Actions, whatever, Hibbett's, Finish Lines, any of those places. They're gonna have something in your size that you can try on and at least get an idea of the fit, and then you can turn around and order the particular colorway that you want. I would definitely suggest going that route, especially considering what you're going to be doing in these. A lot of people are probably going to be buying these to ball in, so of course your feet are going to be sweating, and swelling, and everything else. So you definitely want to take that in consideration when you're trying to figure out the fit of these shoes. Technology wise, this is probably the very low end of the scale in terms of a Nike signature shoe. That is the primary signature shoe for the player. Giannis, of course, just has this one shoe so far, and honestly there's a decent amount of cons that people have thrown out there to the actual shoe itself, whether it's the lack of technology that they've kind of implemented into the shoe itself, the fact that you've got double stacked Zoom Air units in the back heel. Nowadays it's a lot more common to really see the cushioning system featured primarily in the forefront of the shoe, because of course when you're playing basketball, guys, you're always kind of on the tips of your feet, you're always on your toes, you're always on the front of your feet, kind of making pivots and running and reacting defensively and things like that. You're never on the heels of your feet, really, in any sport. That's why there's the expression stay on your toes, guys, because it's just more akin to being able to react really fast. I know back in the day, for example, when I played baseball, I was a shortstop. My dad taught me, you know, right as the pitcher's making that pitch, start to make a step defensively. So I would always position myself a full step behind where I wanted to be in the field, and as the pitcher was sort of making his stretch to the plate, guys, I would take a full step forward and throw my glove down. That way I was already in motion as the ball was being hit or whatever, so I wasn't really reacting stagnantly, you know what I'm saying? I was in motion, my body was already moving, so if somebody hit a rocket, you know, I could react a little bit quicker to that simply because I wasn't on the heels of my feet, I was already on the toes of my feet. So it makes a lot more sense, guys, to put any kind of that cushioning system, to feature it in the forefront of the shoe. It's just something that seems to be a lot more widely accepted nowadays. It doesn't make a lot of sense to put only cushioning in the heel, and it definitely doesn't make a whole lot of sense to double stack the Zoom units in the heel to me. The only sense that really makes is coming down on your feet, rebounding and stuff. But then again, I still feel like generally playing basketball, you're coming down on the toes, on the balls of your feet. So that's one of the main gripes. I would say the other main gripe with this shoe is gonna be the traction system. It's just very inconsistent. Sometimes that traction will be great. Other times you'll find yourself wiping the bottom of these shoes off frequently, and it's really not a court to court thing. It's not really because this one particular court is more dusty or whatever. I don't really know how to explain it, guys. These things just seem to hold up better sometimes on certain courts, whether it's the temperature or humidity or whatever is factoring in. It's definitely some very, very minute specific details that are coming into play in terms of the tractioning on this shoe. Sometimes they're great, sometimes you're slipping and sliding all over the place, guys. Otherwise, a pretty simple shoe, something that I feel like Nike Basketball has not necessarily taken a step back, but just gone with a little bit simpler approach than, let's say, you know, the Kyrie's, where you got these sort of straps and fly traps and all this other weird sort of futuristic kind of ideas that are involved in the shoe. This one, just a much more traditional unlace, stick your foot in there, relace it up, and get on the court and play. Just a lot more traditional of a shoe and a look and an aesthetic to the shoe itself. Alright guys, I think we've done a pretty comprehensive discussion about this shoe. We've touched on the fit, we've touched on some of the technology, the colorway itself, as well as the inspiration behind the colorway. All that's left, guys, is that on feet. Let's throw these things on feet with the sock combo, guys. Let me know what y'all think about these joints down below. You copping these, you sleeping on these, you dig this colorway, you hate this colorway. Is the Cream City moniker, is that a deal breaker for you guys? Let me know down below, guys. You looking forward to something else? Are you saving your money? Are you not making money? Anything y'all want to throw down below, hit me down below. I'll hit you guys back. Much love. Comment, like, subscribe. Y'all know what to do. My name is Coaster Nostra. Thank you guys for rocking with me and my reviews. Much love. Peace.